one to the Muskie Sports Network for Coffee with Coaches presented by Jennings Java. I'm Tom Caudell, and joining me today is Muskingum head baseball coach Jake Krupar. Coach, welcome to Coffee with Coaches.
Thanks, Tom. Looking forward to doing this. I appreciate it.
You know, Coach, Coffee with Coaches presented by our good friends at Jennings Java. If you're looking for that fresh coffee experience, freshest roast around, jenningsjava.com. And a former student athlete here at Muskingum doing great things, along with a former alum of baseball, AJ Kazmierzak, over in Columbus. So jenningsjava.com for that fresh roast experience. Coach, this is going to be a great opportunity to let our fans get to know you a little bit better, not just for your love for baseball, but off the baseball field as well. And we'll start with just where did you grow up? When did you first have that love for baseball?
Yeah, so I grew up in a little area called East Sparta, Ohio. It's about 10 minutes south of Canton. And honestly, I've loved baseball since I can remember. My dad's the one who got me into it, and played since I was just a little itty bitty toddler and all the way up until college. So my love for baseball goes back before I can remember.
You know, so the baseball's in the genes, the love's there. What was your high school experience like?
I was lucky. I had a great high school experience, especially on the baseball side of things. I played for an OHSAA Hall of Famer, Doug Miller, at Canton Central Catholic High School. He's one of the ones who kind of inspired me to get into coaching, but he's an absolutely unbelievable human being and even and a great baseball coach. And we actually was fortunate enough to be on a state championship team my sophomore year of high school. So just played really, really good baseball in high school and played for one of the best around. So I can't complain.
Yeah. So growing up with baseball, you know, the experience you had in high school, winning a state championship, which is definitely not easy to do. When did you think, okay, I'm going to play at the next level and take it to the college?
Yeah. So I knew, before high school, I knew I wanted to play as long as I could. And I think right as I kind of got into that 7th or 8th grade stage of my life is when, I didn't know what level I could play at, but I knew I wanted to play past high school.
You ended up going to Toledo, so members of Mid-American Conference there. What was it like at Toledo? What was your experiences? Talk about the baseball side and the academic side.
Yeah, so baseball-wise, I went to Toledo. Felt like it was a really good fit with the coaching staff, especially the hitting coach, Nick McIntyre. Him and I kind of have a really good bond, still are really good friends to this day. And so the coaching staff was a big reason I went there. At the time, I was a marketing major. I ended up switching that to criminal justice, and now I coach college baseball. So life takes you on some funny paths. But the academic side of it was great. I was really into criminal justice. I wanted to be a police officer for a couple of years in college before I decided that I wanted to get into coaching. So I was very interested in my major, and it was a lot of challenging courses, but we got through it. And but I had a great college experience.
Coach, getting done with the baseball side, but also an academic all-the-way C honoree multiple times there at Toledo, so getting it done in the classroom as well. At what point in time during your college career did you start thinking, man, coaching could be a career path for me?
Yeah, so going into my senior year of college is when that happened. I stayed in town and I worked that summer, and I played in a college league that was pretty much in Ohio. So I was able to stay in town and work and make some money. And I worked some Toledo youth camps over the summer. And that's kind of when it started to hit me was I'm going into my last year of college baseball. There's probably no way I'm going to be able to give this up. And this is something I think I could see myself doing. And I ended up, talking with my head coach, my college head coach, Corey Mee, and he pretty much kind of pushed me into it and said, this is something I think that you could do. And he was a big influence on me. And then my high school coach, Doug Miller, was a big influence on me. But that summer going into senior year is when I definitely made up my mind that this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah, Coach, we'll step away from the baseball part here, and we'll get back to it here in a little bit. But when you think back about how you approach your work, how you grind in the office, who has influenced you the most?
My parents. I'm really lucky with my upbringing with both my mom and my dad, and instilling work ethic in me, and hold me to a standard when I was a kid. So I have them to thank. I mean, my mom. I'm a mama's boy. Like I'll go throw that out there. So I love my mom and dad. I love both of them to death. My mom instilled that grind in me. She's the smartest person I've ever met. So she instilled the wake up every day and grind and get through it. And my dad, kind of instilled that passion part of it. Find something you want to do and latch onto it. So I have my parents to thank for that.
Coach, how do you prefer to start your day?
Big cup of coffee, preferably Jennings Java or Chapman's.
There you go, Jennings Java or Chapman. Can't go wrong with either option. I mean, Chapman's is a great partner here at the university. Love what Garrett does downtown, and then Daniel Jennings as well with Jennings Java. So nothing wrong with that answer.
That's right.
When you get to the office, what is it that energizes you throughout the day?
Coffee. No, I'm just kidding. Big coffee drinker. No, I think the biggest thing is just what I get to do for a living, and I get to interact with this age of baseball player, 18 to 22, 23 years old, and I get to coach them up for a living, and that's really what drives me is the relationships with those guys, trying to get them better every single day, and not just in baseball, but in the classroom, off the field. Those relationships are really what drive me every single day.
Well, that's awesome because you don't just develop them as players; you're developing them as young men to set them up to be successful in life.
Exactly.
So, when you're outside of work, what is it that that energizes you? What do you like to do?
Outside of work, I like to go. I like hiking. I like fishing. Like visiting new places. My fiance Sophie is very. She likes to travel. She likes to go see new things. So she energizes me a lot. She keeps me going. Or else I'd sit around and probably watch baseball and think baseball and get caught up in doing all sorts of that kind of stuff. But she's the best. She's what keeps me energized off the field.
It's awesome. Coach, what's a work-related accomplishment that you're proud of?
Honestly, the one that comes to mind the most is 2 seasons ago at Wofford. We won the regular season Southern Conference Championship. I don't think I've been around a team that was as tough as that team. And I mean no offense to any of the players on that team, but we were not the most talented team in the conference by far. And just the way that they grinded through that season and just kept competing pitch after pitch after pitch, even if we were down, up, it didn't matter. And that was the first time we won a regular season's conference championship in school history. So that one really comes to mind.
So just to follow up on that, I mean, what was it like at that game, the final out, knowing you just won that conference championship, making school history? What were the emotions like for that?
It was pretty raw. It was really cool. It was kind of cool to take a step back. I didn't really, it gave it a fist pump at the end, and I just kind of looked and watched our guys run out in the field and celebrate and go crazy for a couple minutes. And then to see the head coach, Todd Donato, to see the look on his face, he'd been there for, I think, 15 years in that year, to see it finally come to fruition for him and see the emotions out of him, that was pretty special.
Coach, what's one thing that most people don't know about you?
Well, I think the easiest one to go to is I'm deaf in my left ear. So most people don't know that until you meet me. So if you're ever talking to me and I'm not responding, I promise I'm not being rude. I just can't hear you.
There you go. All right. We'll make sure we always got your right side when we're going at it. What's something that you've seen recently that's made you smile?
It's funny you say that. I think one of the really cool things about here at Muskingum in New Concord is that, it's just a really tight-knit community. And so you see people walking out all the time or, going down to the Dairy Duchess or going down to the grocery store. And I was going for a walk the other night, and I just saw a family walking by on the quad, and they had 2 little ones walking with them. And I just stopped and said hi and introduced myself, and we just were talking for a little bit. And that really made me smile. So just that was the last thing that really kind of made me happy. But that's pretty common around here,
Yeah, I think you summed it up. I mean, that's the village in New Concord. It's a tight-knit community. One thing you hear a lot of people when they talk about Muskingum is that family atmosphere. You stopping to talk to a few people on the quad, you might have just created a new baseball family who's going to be fans, and we see them at your games, in the spring. And that's a great sight. Yeah. What's some advice that you've given that you still adhere to today?
Yeah. So I think there's a bunch of things that come to mind. But one of the things that I'll never forget is comes from my grandpa. my grandpa, he started a construction company from scratch, basically lived out of his garage with my grandma and their oldest Mike for a couple of years while he got his construction business going. So, I mean, he's the definition of building something from the ground up and working your tail off every single day to provide for your family. So, I just remember I was really young. It's one of those like random memories you have as a kid. I was riding in the truck with him and we were going to the shop, and they kind of had the yard in the back where all the equipment is. And I remember looking out in the yard. Some of the equipment was older, and I said something about it being junk. And Grandpa didn't like that, and he said it's not junk. He's like, you can get. He said if you can, you can squeeze blood from a stone, then do it. And I didn't really know what that meant until I got older. And the way I perceive it is, just because something looks the way it is, it doesn't mean that you can't get something out of it. There's always going to be something you can get out of. So I take that into everything I do on a daily basis, and try and help kids realize, what they have inside them, and try and bring that out of them on a daily basis. So that's the one that really sticks with me.
Oh, that's great. I love the positive attitude of it's what you see, what you can get out of it. Everyone sees things differently. What about this? If we're sitting around, we got 3 of your friends with us, and I ask them to describe you in 3 words, what are your friends going to tell me?
Number one would be, I hope they'd say loyal. I'm a really loyal person. As you get to know me, I guess I'm pretty sarcastic, and I'm definitely a weirdo. So probably weird would be the 3rd one.
There you go. Got us a sarcastic, weirdo, loyal person sitting over the cross.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting combo, but I guess it works.
Hey, it's all good. And, I can tell you that, once you were named head baseball coach, I mean, there was people who reached out to me, congratulating us on what they said was a great hire. Looking forward to you taking the helm of the program. And some of those were former players that you play with, not just here at Muskingum, but other places as well. And I could see how the loyal would fit straight into there as a nice, loyal guy. Coach, if we're making a movie, and we got to have someone star here as Jake Krupar, the kid who wins the state championship, does some good things at Toledo, and then comes back to Muskingum here. Who's playing Jake?
That's a really good question, and I've thought about this. And if I had to pick somebody, I'm a huge Sons of Anarchy fan, so I'd have to probably go Charlie Hunnam. He's like a way better looking version of me, so I'd probably go Charlie Hunnam. But if we were just going straight like actors that I like, I'd probably have to go Nick Cage. He's one of my favorites. So
Nick Cage, huh? All right.
Right.
There you go. Well, we might have to have maybe a Charlie or Nick Cage look-alike day at a baseball game next fall to see what we line them all up.
I'm fine with that.
Have some fun out there. I think I told you earlier. I was lucky enough to go to Savannah Bananas game this last summer, and just seeing what they did in creating that fan-first entertainment atmosphere. I would love to try to incorporate some of that to what we can within the NCAA rules here at some of our games, next spring.
No doubt. They're doing great things for the game of baseball. So I 100% agree with that.
I'll tell you, they're doing great things. I've got 2 young men, a 16 and 14-year-old, that I would say baseball is not the top of their list as a sport that they like. When I first told them we were going to Bananas game, it was like, oh. But then they found them on social media, got more excited, and after the game, now follow them, talk about Savannah Banana baseball. It really changed their look of a baseball game, and a lot of that was due to the entertainment. And, I would say at that game, they're trying to hook a earlier age fan generations earlier. And it certainly worked on our family. And if we can do stuff like that here to incorporate community and get more people excited, let's give it a whirl.
Absolutely.
Coach, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
I'd probably choose to fly. I feel like flying's pretty expensive right now, so just cut the line and go wherever I want. That'd be pretty cool.
But, flying kind of lines you right up there with, Superman.
Yeah.
Not a bad person to be compared to. A little flight. Go right from your office right to the field.
Yeah.
What's your go-to food if there's that one food item that just, it's the weakness of you?
Well, if I had to pick like a food specifically, I would probably go steak. I'm a big steak guy. But if I could go like, I guess a meal, like is probably the best way to put it, Chipotle. I could eat Chipotle every single day.
Hey, well, then you've got to be excited that Chipotle is now in Cambridge, a
Yeah,
little closer to campus. And I know you're living in Zanesville right now, one in Zanesville too. So you can get it in the morning and get it in the afternoon. You can double dip a little bit with some Chipotle.
yeah. I don't think my bank account would like me for that one, but yeah, I could.
Well, we'll just have to craft us together a partnership with Chipotle next.
That works.
That's the next thing on the agenda. We live in a digital age now. Everything's about the now. On your phone, if you could only have 3 apps, what are they going to be?
I'm I'm pretty boring and practical person. So the boring and practical answer would be the text app, the email app, and probably the Safari app. But other than that, I don't really use a ton of apps besides maybe the MLB app or the ESPN app. So I'd say text, email, and Safari.
Those are the 3 classics right there.
Yeah.
I mean, the way you probably communicate with a lot of recruits through texting and through emails, and obviously Safari can open the window that pretty much anything you need out there.
Exactly.
Coach, anything on your bucket list, something that you looking down the road, you're like, I got to get this checked off on?
Yeah, so I've seen a little bit over half of the MLB stadiums. So I'd like to see every MLB stadium at least one time. I think that'd be something great to check off. And then the other thing, when it comes to heritage, I'm kind of a mutt, so I've got lots of different blood in me from different countries. So I'd like to go visit some of those countries. Like a couple of them would be Slovakia, Wales, okay, Scotland, Germany. A couple of those ones I'd like to go visit.
That's good stuff. What about a favorite TV show? Anything that you watch constantly? Any shows you're binging?
Not a huge TV guy. I'd say I like, if I am going to watch a TV show, I typically like to just kind of relax and shut it off towards the end of the day. I used to be a big Sons of Anarchy fan. I haven't watched that in a while, but recently I've been watching a funny one on Hulu called Letterkenny. It's about a small town in Canada. It's like a hockey show. It's really funny. So I've been watching that one.
Yeah, Coach, let's kind of bring it back around to baseball now. And let's talk about some of your previous coaching stops before you got here to Muskingum. How was, working at BW? You were assistant coach here at Muskingum. You were at Wofford. You were down at Butler. How did all those stops kind of help prepare you to be a head coach one day?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it all adds together. Every experience adds together and stacks on top of one another. When I was at Baldwin Wallace, Coach Harrison's a really good friend of mine. Coach DeAngelis, the assistant coach, is a really good friend of mine. And that was perfect for where I was at in my career, getting into coaching. It was a great time for me to just kind of shut up and listen. They kind of had their thing rolling, and they didn't ever tell me to shut up and listen, but I just kind of figured that out as we started going, like, oh, I know absolutely nothing. And I just need to kind of learn from these guys. And luckily it was really cool to be around a team who won the OAC championship that year, went and played at a regional. So I kind of figured out what it was like to be a part of a program that ran at such a high level. And then, coming here to Muskingum, the biggest thing I learned was just how to put in work every single day, how to work for what you want, how to be organized. Because coming out of college, that was not a strength of mine. I think, like as a lot of young people, just was not very organized, was kind of scatterbrained, flew by the seat of my pants. And coming here made me get organized, and it made me learn how to work every single day for what I wanted. And then, after Muskingum was Wofford. Wofford was great for me. It taught me, one, I was around a very successful mid-major baseball program. And then 2, how to be very objective during games. I think one of the things that we get caught up in as coaches is getting caught in the emotional roller coaster. And one thing that Todd did a great job of teaching me at Wofford was how to stay as even keel as you can during a game, because then your team's always going to follow. So that was one thing I learned from Todd at Wofford, and just what it takes to run a very successful program day in and day out. And then Butler was great because I worked for an all-time great Dave Schrag. Was the head coach at Notre Dame, was the head coach at Evansville, South Dakota State, and then I worked for him at Butler. And one thing going into the year, Coach Schrag and I sat down and we talked about what my goals were, and I told him I wanted to be a head coach. He said, "Okay, well, you need to be in my ear every single time that we're in the dugout. You need to be asking me questions." So the entire year at Butler was unbelievable. Coach Schrag is a huge mentor to me. just teaching me the game inside and out, and let me ask questions, let me disagree with them, let me get into conversation with them during the game. So all that has kind of added up to help me prepare coming back here.
So let's talk about a couple things now. The emotion of the championship you've experienced at raw emotion. What was going through your head when you saw that Muskingum's job had come open, a place that you'd been at before? Obviously, you had some nice connections here with the players, people on our campus. What was that thought process like?
It was wild, actually. When I saw it come open and I heard about it coming open, I was like a little kid in a candy shop. I really couldn't control my emotions. I was really excited about the opportunity. I was like, I don't even know if I have a chance, but I'm going to throw my name in because, ever since going back to when I left, when I went to go to Wofford, I knew I wanted to come back. I knew that this was home to me. I knew that this is the type of player I like to coach, and I love the community aspect of Muskingum. So when that job came open, I had a bunch of emotions come through, but most of which was just pure excitement.
You go through the process, Zoom interview, on-campus interview, and ultimately receiving an offer to become the Muskingum head baseball coach. That had to be a pretty emotional time with that phone call.
Yeah, it was. I didn't really, I think, Coach Winters, when she called and offered me the job, I was really excited. I could barely get out what I wanted to say. I was really excited. And as soon as we hung up the phone, I'm pretty sure, I wonder if my neighbor was scared at all, because I think I let out about a 5-second roar. I was so happy. So just overcome with excitement to get back here. That's the easiest way to put it.
Coach, how would you describe your first day in the office? I mean, what was it like when you walked back down the hallway, walked to the office?
It was pretty surreal, honestly. It still feels kind of weird sitting here, but it's just really exciting. It's a great time to be at Muskingum. I'm more happy than anything to be back with this set of players. These guys are some of the most fun guys to be around on a day-to-day basis, and they want the same things we want. They want to get better every day. So coming back, sitting in this office and getting everything organized the way I want to has been nothing short of absolutely special to me.
And then if somebody asked you, like, what's your vision for the Muskie baseball program? How do you see the program, in the spring and moving forward?
Yeah, our goal is to be in the conference tournament every single year. That's our goal. And we've got a lot of work to do to get there. And our players know that. But we've got our goal is to be in the OAC tournament every year. I want to go to a College World Series. And you can call that lofty. You can say that's an unattainable goal. And I really don't care, because that's where we're going to get to. So our goal is to be in the OAC tournament every single year.
When you talk about the College World Series, I mean, easy for your players to see that probability. 2 teams from the OAC, both in the World Series last year, teams that you will face this year as the season progresses. What about your staff? I mean, you got a Holden Martin, Alex O'Donnell. How's that been with the gelling of them? And then how does the staff interact?
It's been great. One of the things when I got hired, I kind of called around to some of the former players that graduated, just to ask them about Coach O'Donnell, and I didn't hear one negative thing. Everything out of their mouths was positive about how good of a coach he is and how good of a worker he is. And then being here for a couple weeks and meeting him and talking with him every day and seeing his work ethic in person. He works at absolutely really, really hard. And then same with Holden Martin. Obviously, he's a Muskie. He bleeds red and black. He went to school here. He got his undergrad. He's working on his master's from here. Holden works extremely hard too. So just being around those two every single day, one is energizing in and of itself. Being around that type of work ethic every day is awesome. And then we're gelling just fine. And it's going to be interesting. I would imagine we'll probably have one of the younger coaching staffs around. So acknowledging that, and then my personality, I think, is going to balance out Alex's and vice versa. When I get too fired up or something, Alex is a little more laid back than I am, so he's there to bring me back down. So I think it's going to go really well.
I can tell you, just working with Holden and Alex over the last year, I mean, 2 guys that were always the first in line to help within the department, raise their hand, working with the athletics communication team whenever we needed to. 2 outstanding guys right there to be a part of the program and to be on your staff. Let me ask you, how do you see, we're getting ready to do the grand opening of the Bullock Health and Wellness Complex, $30+ million complex right in the center of campus. It's going to incorporate athletics, academics, the community, so many components in this building. How do you see this building impacting the baseball program?
Well, first of all, it's going to be a huge impact. It's going to allow us we'll have a full infield that we can use. So we can base run it at a regular, in a regular size area. We can base run, we can do infield, we can throw, we're going to have 60 yards of turf. So we can throw farther, we can long toss, we can do outfield throws. We can run an entire practice that we would run outside. We can do now inside when it's 20 degrees outside. So that's an absolute game changer on our end. And we're able to do live in there with the cages as well. So we can get done everything we need to when it's 20 degrees and there's snow outside. And there's not a lot of schools that can do that. So, and I know Coach Cruz and the basketball coaches are going to be happy that we're not hitting ground balls in their floor anymore. So, but it's an absolute game changer. We now have everything that we need to compete at an extremely high level. So we're extremely lucky.
Yeah, I mean, that building like I said, grand opening slated for September 17th, which coincides with our 100th homecoming here on campus. Football will christen the stadium against Capital. Also inside, down the road, an indoor track, which we've never had on campus. So we will at some point, I think it's the second weekend in January, have our first ever indoor track meet here on campus, which will also be special, along with all the diagnostics that'll be a part of that building. Coach, if I'm a high school baseball player and I want to learn more about the Muskie baseball program, what's the best way to get a hold of you, to get a hold of your staff?
Yeah, best way is by email. That's the easiest way. So my email is listed on the coaches page. It's jkrupar@muskingum.edu. Shoot us an email, and include your contact info, include some video, maybe a little bit of a write-up on yourself. And, we'll get back with you one way or the other if we think you'd be a fit for our program or not. And that's the easiest way to get in touch with us.
The other thing, just to add, this has happened last night, adding the alumni update form to the website. So if you are a Muskie baseball alum and you want to get in the database, because I know the alumni game's coming back this year.
That's right.
Easiest way to do it, go to fightingmuskies.com, baseball, more plus, fill out the form, and it goes right back to you guys.
Yep. Yeah, October 1st, alumni game. So if you're a Muskie alum, October 1st, come on out.
Yeah, there it is. That's so awesome. Well, Coach, I want to thank you for taking time today to join us on Coffee with Coaches, presented by Jennings Java, JenningsJava.com for the fresh roast experience, the best coffee out there, and to giving us an opportunity to get to know you a little better, dive in a little deeper, and wish you all the best here as the year really getting ready to kick off here in the next week or two.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot. Go Muskies.